My man,
What's up,
Rashad,
brother?
how's it going, man?
Man, I can't call it. If I had your hand, I'd be better.
We're hanging in there. Like you said, you just gotta do what you can. It's a tough time. It's a
Yeah,
tough. It's unpredictable. You don't really know what's next, but all you could do is just keep pushing, right?
that's all you can do. Just keep
Right.
pushing on, man. Just keep pushing on.
I hear you. I don't want to hold you for too long of a time. We want to get the gems, the Yoda gems, but I do want to get. I want to start right off the bat. I want people to understand like who Rashad Phillips is because I know that I posted, and those who who are really into basketball know who you are.
Yeah.
But the casual people may feel like they don't know much about Rashad Phillips, which is why I posted the clip earlier about um, like no, the Mamba, like we're talking about the Mamba knows who Rashad Phillips is and he knows what this guy's about. So with that being said, you've been considered, I've heard this plenty of times, one of the best players that didn't make the NBA. Now you broke all kinds of records at Detroit in college. You're like you got your jersey hanging in the rafters.
Yeah.
But for Kobe, right, to come out and say Rashad Phillips is a guy that stood out to him when he was like the best prospect coming out of high school. Do you want to speak to that a little bit into your relationship with him? I know it's a very touchy situation with his passing. Rest in peace to Kobe. But do you want to kind of like talk about the dynamic of the relationship you had with Kobe?
Um, yeah, I don't want to get too deep into it, but me and Kobe have been friends, obviously, since high school.
Right.
The clip that you posted was 1996.
Mm,
So that's when we first met, and just from 1996, from then on, we developed a really strong friendship. Before I moved to Florida, and when he was still playing,
mhm,
I retired 10 years before him. I retired at 30. He would, give me tickets to come to the games every time they would play the Pistons.
mm.
I would come to the games and, chat with him and things like that. And we just developed a great friendship for one another over the time. And he's always supported me from the first day he met me and to the last day he was on this planet. He was always in my corner, pushing me from afar, just being a terrific friend.
Which is it's excellent that what that relationship kind of transpired into your career. Like you said, you were done 10 years, but you've taken ownership of trying to school the next generation of young studs and young talents. Like that's kind of how you became Yoda, right?
Yeah.
You're seeing the talent in guys that people overlooked. Trey Youngs was one of the guys who people did not see this coming because he was his height, whether it's his the big background that he didn't necessarily have. But you called out Trey Young was going to be a stud when people doubted.
Yeah.
You've called out Ja Morant. I know you were big on Ja Morant.
Yeah.
What is it like for you as a scout when you're like analyzing these talents and you're able to finger who you feel like this guy's got he's going to be able to have next?
I think a lot of it has to do with my own personal playing experience. I was always the player that was just as good as all the five stars and whoever you wanted to put in between the lines with me, but I
Mm,
just never had that machine behind me as a player.
right.
And when I started Sports Talk 2319, what I vowed to myself to do was to always create a machine for the kids that deserve it.
Mm, that's good.
That's when I started it. Guys like Trey Young and Ja Morant, and the list goes on. I mean, Terrence Davis out of
Mm,
Toronto Raptors, undrafted, who I said he was going to be a terrific NBA player. I mean, my list. I have a long list of kids, but obviously those two stand out. You look at Trey. I knew he was going to be a superstar. I went on every major platform, and I received hate mail for
right.
it's about Trey. Like I have hate mail of people saying all type of things to me for saying Trey will be a superstar in the NBA and Ja Morant and all of that. But again, once you find a purpose in life, it's up to you to fulfill it. And I truly believe that I've found my purpose on this earth, and that's to be a voice for the unheard and continue to help the game grow organically and share my knowledge with the world.
And it, real recognize real, as they say, because you have guys reaching out to you
Yeah.
now, like Edgerrin James. I
Okay.
followed that story along. He
Yeah.
asked you to come down into Miami, work out
Yeah.
with his son.
Yes.
Like, and I know you're big on even like training your daughter, because I
Yeah.
watch. I've been following that. She's getting right, and
Yes.
you're trying to like make sure you instill all that knowledge
Yeah.
into the kids.
Yeah. It's it's humbling for me from where I started. I've built my platform literally from the ground up.
Mhm.
And to get to receive phone calls and the respect, because one thing is that you can't buy credibility. It's not for sale.
Right.
Credibility is not for sale. That's something that you have to earn. And I've been able to do that and kind of garnish the respect of, Hall of Fame NFL players, Hall of Fame basketball players,
Right.
and the list goes on. So again, it's just, I'm truly blessed just to be, highly sought out like that. And I just continue to try to give the world my best, and obviously my daughter at 8 years old, because she wants it. I
Right.
believe that she has a gift, and God gave me something that I need to pass down to my child.
Right. I mean, that it's kind of like the double side of Yoda, not only being able to drop wisdom on the youth, right?
Yeah.
But this is something I've always wondered, Rashad. How
Yeah.
do you seem to know what's going to happen before it kind of happens? Like, I don't know. It's like yesterday you posted a tweet about, um, you posted a screenshot about the tweet with Ben Simmons. You were like, this is where Ben needs to play. Once the Sixers do that, that'll be the thing that unlocks that. And like all of a sudden it pops up and you're like, Yoda, I told y'all.
Yeah.
Same goes with the Kyrie Irving thing. I don't know if this is actually going to happen, but you're like, Kyrie's going to do this. He's going to win a ring. And then before you know, he's just going to walk away. He's just not the dude that wants to hang around and do all this parlay stuff.
Yeah.
How do you like, where do you get the sense to know like this stuff is going to happen? Is it personal relationships or just
Yeah.
instinct?
Definitely not personal relationships.
Okay.
Definitely not that. It's more having a gift, a gift of foresight,
Mm-hmm.
to have these premonitions, to be able to feel what's going on around you, and also as a former player, being in the locker rooms, I'm able to get a sense.
Mm-hmm.
I can watch a team, I can watch a player on TV, and I can get a feel of what's going on with that team.
Right.
And I'm able to project what I feel, what I see on TV, and then I just kind of share it, via social media, and that's just kind of how I do it. I don't have any. I'm not like Woj where I got the relationships and people are texting me, hey, Kyrie's going to retire, tweet this, like that. I'm not getting my information like that. My information comes from right here, and it comes from my instinct and my ability to read people and forecast.
Speaking of, what is your sense on how you think Kyrie's career plays out? As far, do him and KD ever touch the court together, or like, because with the whole social injustice thing going on with Kyrie being anti the bubble,
Yeah.
to fight for what's going on right now, which is he feels is more important. What is the sense of what you think happens? Does
Yeah.
him and KD work in Brooklyn? Do they win a chip? How does that play out?
Yeah, well, they're gonna play together maybe once. I think once. I don't they play no more than 1 year together. I just feel that Kyrie is really gonna walk away from the game of basketball, and
Mm,
and I think rightfully so. When you look at Kyrie Irving, you could just get a sense that he has a different purpose in life now, and he's made enough money. He's
right.
done enough for the game of basketball, and I think he wants to just move on and explore other things in life. And I encourage that sometimes, because there's something called sports depression.
Mm,
And a lot of times we look at these professional athletes as machines.
right.
And you look at Kyrie Irving in particular, this guy has emotions. He has his own thoughts, and that needs to be respected. He's
Right.
done enough for the NBA game. He's left enough highlights for us
Right.
to go through. He's won
Right.
championships. So I just believe that, just as the humanitarian side of me, you do what's right for yourself and your family. And if that's walking away from the game because you feel like there's a bigger purpose, it needs to be done. A lot of people don't speak about the term sports depression, but it's real. It's extremely real. And we always think guys that's making a lot of money are not under that, but sports depression is real.
That's real, for real, because I mean, even Kevin Love, has recently come out talking about how, even though I make millions of dollars, like I'm still dealing with mental issues and mental health and having to get, therapy and stuff like that. And that's something that I feel like needs to be talked about more, because there are a lot of guys really in these situations going through it.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Absolutely.
So one of the recent things that I actually tagged you on this because I was getting tired of seeing people post it and not accredit it. Now, we both have different paths to media. You were a really good basketball player
Yeah.
who has so much knowledge of the game and has a way of sharing that
Yeah.
through his eyes. For me, I grew up loving sports. I wasn't a star athlete, but I went to school. I studied journalism and so on and so forth. And I say that to say, one of the main things about journalism is you're supposed to accredit who said what. Now, I see too many times Rashad Phillips quotes pop up on Instagram feeds, like the literal pictures of the tweet, not even like a quote with just writing it, a literal picture of the tweet. And I'm like, wait, that's Rashad. Can y'all tag the man? Like, how do you feel about not just that, but the Mahomes and the Curry thing? Because I know that's something you and Perkins talked about on your No Agendas show as well.
Yeah. There's different, before I answer that question, there's different paths to making it in the media world. And there's not one path that is faster than the other. Everybody
Right.
takes their own freeway to get to their lane,
Right.
get to the destination, and that's okay. I actually applaud I applaud you personally for going to school and studying and taking that route to get to this destination. And, obviously for me as a former player, I couldn't take that route because I was too busy.
Right.
I didn't really have that, but I did, I got my degree in liberal arts communications. So I went to college for broadcasting. Like and I graduated with that. I stayed all 4 years, graduated with my degree in liberal arts. So I actually kind of took the educational route as well.
Right.
My career kept going forward. But, in regards to the rules of, and the laws of journalism, when you see something that you like, you gotta, you pay homage to the person that said it. Like I see things a lot and I'd be like, wow, man, I wish I would have came up with that. That's a
Right.
that's a great, thing. But, for me, I think you should credit, people. And as for me, I'm so used to my work spreading. I feel like I've been ghostwriting for a lot of companies for a long time. I do.
Right.
And it's okay. I just feel like people know who I am, the things that I say, the things that I do.
Right.
It doesn't bother me as it used to. It's been going on for like the last 5 years.
Right.
But to get to the Patrick Mahomes and Steph Curry, that went viral. I mean, I seen it on Facebook, Instagram, and I was like, wow, like it spread. I was happy that it spread it though.
Right.
Like happy that people picked it up. But just to sum it up in a nutshell, basically what I was talking about, and I got a lot of people were upset. But I had to say that, there's a certain thing of being a product of advantage.
Right. Parenting advantage and stuff like that.
It's some of the things that I say a lot of people don't want to say but agree with.
Right.
Like I didn't say anything that a lot of people wasn't thinking, just didn't want it. They just didn't want it to come from their mouth, right?
Right.
So I just said, hey, look, when you look at Patrick Mahomes, you look at Steph Curry, these are two kids that are products of advantage. And I commend their parents for putting them in a situation where they can be a product of advantage. You know, as a parent, me as a parent, my children right now are products of advantage. You
Right.
know, like I come from East State Fair, Detroit. I come from the east side of Detroit. There was no advantage where I come from.
Right.
You know, well, we're now, like, I live in Windermere, Florida, where it's you know, it's suburban. My kids go to private school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a former professional athlete, so I'm able to train my daughters, you know, so they are products of advantage. And I think all of us as parents should do that. So
Right.
I was trying to commend Patrick Mahomes Sr. and Dale Curry for putting their sons in positions to be great. Obviously, they had to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
They had to meet halfway.
Right.
But when you look at it, the parents set those two guys up to be iconic with where they are today.
Right. And this is something that I know people struggled, and I've seen it. People arguing with you on Twitter about it, because you said Steph Curry is not an underdog. If I misquote you, you said he's not the underdog because people look at Steph Davidson, small school, 6-foot guy. He's not built, you know, quote unquote, built for the league, and you're like, he's not an underdog. He was set up well. He took a different, like, he wasn't the 5-star recruit, but that doesn't
Right.
make him an underdog by
Right.
nature.
Correct. No, it was an interesting subject, you know, because people were in their feelings and they were mad. But I'm just saying, I'm just calling it what it is. An underdog is a person that is in a situation that's set up to fail, but they don't.
They overcome it.
They overcome that. You know,
Right.
Steph Curry to me is a overachiever. He was set up to do something, and then he overachieved what he was set up for. Curry was set up to be a basketball player. That's a fact.
Right.
That's not my opinion. Steph Curry was set up to be a basketball player. Now, what he did with basketball is he overachieved. He was never an underdog. He was never put in a situation to fail. Just because you only have one scholarship, that doesn't make you an underdog. Because if Steph Curry had 0 college offers, guess what? His father could have paid for him to go to any college he wanted to.
Right.
That's not an underdog. I only had 3 college offers. If I don't have 3 offers, my parents couldn't send me to college.
Right.
See the difference?
Yeah.
Steph Curry was going to college whether he had a 1 scholarship or none. I wouldn't been able to go to college if I didn't get that scholarship. There's a difference there.
Right. And if you had overcome that to make it to the NBA, let's say, then you would have been an underdog that made it, not an overachiever.
Correct. It's a hell of a discussion to have, you know, because I think people, you know, the narrative that has been built around Steph Curry is that he's an underdog and he looks like us. He's small. He shoots.
He's relatable. Right.
He's relatable, which, look, I'm a Steph Curry guy.
Right.
But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to perpetuate a story or a narrative that really isn't there. I celebrate Curry for what he is. I don't perpetuate for what people paint him to be. There's a difference.
Now, him and Trey got similarities. Well, let me not say similar. They got comparisons because of the size and of the 3-point shooting, the range.
Yeah.
Who do you feel like is, I don't want to say more dynamic because Steph Curry's a 2-time MVP.
Right.
But you do talk about this. There's 4 scale. I think it's 4 scales or something like that. 4 levels of scoring on the basketball court.
Yeah.
Who is the better scorer? Because I've had this argument, and people have looked at me like I got 6 heads. Who would you say is the better scorer between Steph and Trey?
Trey Young's a better scorer.
Can you explain that to the people? Because I feel like right now people are just thinking Trey Young's doing this in year 2. Steph has been doing this his whole career, and he's got 2 MVPs, 3 championships. Can you explain your reasonings why you feel like Trey's a better scorer?
Trey's a better scorer, and it's obvious, guys. The reason is because Trey is better and further along than what Steph Curry was at the same age. That's not my opinion. That's just a fact. That's not my
30
opinion.
and 10. 30 and 10. You can't deny it, right?
That's yeah. So I believe that Steph Curry crawled so Trey can walk. I do believe that. Without Steph Curry opening up the door, there would never be a Trey Young. So we have to give Steph Curry
Right.
credit. But when you look at
Right.
what Trey Young brings to the table as far as a scorer, Steph Curry's a better basketball player, but he's not a better scorer. There's a difference. There's a difference.
Right.
Steph Curry's a better basketball player. Trey Young's a better scorer. Trey Young's a better point guard than Steph Curry, but Steph Curry's more dynamic. Both can be true.
Right.
Both can be true. And I love both. Like, I'm a Steph Curry and Trey Young guy. So,
Right.
both of them are 4-level scorers. Both of them can score on anywhere on the court. But Trey does it in a different fashion. Trey has to score with the ball in his hands. Steph Curry doesn't need the ball in his hands to score. Trey has better vision. Steph Curry's a better ball handler, a more efficient shooter or scorer. And I think a lot of that has to do with Curry's age as well.
Right.
When you look at their college, Trey led the nation in scoring and assists as a freshman. Trey averaged 40 points a game in high school. Steph Curry Steph Curry had one offer coming out of high school. Trey Young was a 5-star. Trey could have went to any college in the country. So at this stage, at their ages, Trey's a better player. But will he have the better career? Probably not.
Right, right.
Steph Curry's career probably will never be duplicated ever again.
Right.
You know? So both can be true. I think a lot of times in media, sometimes these questions, both sides could be right. It's like they try to make us pick a side and think that it's taken away from the other. But both can be true. Steph Curry's going to have the better career. But Trey Young right now at that age is way further along than Steph Curry was.
I can respect that. I feel like this is always part of what I interject when we talk about this. Trey's doing this in year 2. He's averaging 30 points, almost 10 assists, and is starting. And also, like, this is a lot for a 19, 20-year-old kid, literally just getting his feet wet.
This is unbelievable.
Literally just getting his feet wet. I definitely want to ask you about this. Isaiah Thomas. Now, you have been on a campaign for the basketball world to put some respect on Isaiah Thomas's name. Do you want to tell us why do you feel? I mean, I know why. Do you want to tell people why you feel like Isaiah is overlooked? I know you specifically mentioned how Jordan's flu game, has been polarized, but Isaiah playing on a broken ankle and, going ham doesn't get enough credit. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I just think that, again, when you look at the platforms that's going on, these platforms are trying to rewrite history. And I think it's wrong. And when you look at, you can go into our education systems and go into our school systems. Our kids are being fed history that really isn't true. And it's the same thing in the sports world. They're starting to feed us history that really didn't take place. And I grew up in that era of Isaiah Thomas. So I've seen this history with my own eyes. But when you watch these bigger platforms speak on history that you've seen with your own eyes, you're saying that's not really true. That's not really true. The platform that I have, I'm going to speak up on it. And I feel that Isaiah Thomas is pound for pound the greatest basketball player ever. If you look at what he's been able to do from his size, that's why I say pound for pound, he's the greatest basketball player ever. A kid now this is an underdog.
Right.
Isaiah Thomas is an underdog. He grew up on the west side of Chicago. They didn't have lights his entire time till he left high school. It comes from older brothers and sisters. They had to share clothes with his sister. Completely poor, just put in a situation to fail. And he ends up winning a state title in high school, a gold medal in high school, goes on, plays 2 years in college, wins a national championship in college, becomes the #2 pick in the draft, wins back-to-back NBA titles. That's generational. There's not a small guard that has that resume and has. Allen Iverson is the closest thing to come to Isaiah Thomas, and I believe Allen Iverson is more talented than Isaiah Thomas, but he's not a better basketball player than Isaiah Thomas.
So it's safe. Yeah, go ahead.
So for me with Isaiah Thomas, I just know that when you talk about Magic Johnson, there's this bright light about Magic Johnson, right? Which is supposed to be a bright light. Magic Johnson is iconic, and he's the greatest point guard ever. Right. Then you talk about Larry Bird. There's a bright light on Larry Bird, rightfully so.
Right.
Then you talk about Michael Jordan, and there's a bright light on Michael Jordan.
Right.
And then you talk about Isaiah Thomas, and there's a dim light.
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas basically was the guy who disrupted the beautiful storyline of Magic, Bird, and Jordan. Isaiah disrupted that by winning.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it's safe to say you completely think Isaiah was done the utmost disrespect by keeping him off the dream team for John Stockton, who I cannot believe people think John Stockton was a better player and more deserving of that spot than Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on. I'm not even going to waste my time and even talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, Isaiah Thomas is the greatest small man to ever play basketball. There's nobody hasn't even come close to duplicating what he's been able to do. His ability to win. A lot of people don't know this. This is the funny thing, and this is how people move the goalpost depending on who's right, who's telling the history. Isaiah Thomas is one game away from three-peating. Mm-hmm. And in '88, when he messed up his ankle in Game 6, if he don't mess up his ankle, they beat the Lakers. You know, Lakers beat them in 7 games. In Game 7, Isaiah's ankle was messed up.
Yeah.
And so people say, well, Isaiah beat Magic Johnson the next year because Magic was hurt. Well, Magic beat Isaiah the year before because Isaiah was hurt.
It was hurt, right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what I'm, with the history of the game, people move the goalpost depending on who they want the story to highlight. But Isaiah Thomas is one game away from three-peating with the Detroit Pistons. He's one game away from three-peating.
Right.
In the Magic, Jordan, Bird era.
Right. Right. Who's the best player today? Is it Kawhi? I asked that because I know you've broken down Kawhi a lot over the last couple of years. Is it Kawhi Leonard? Is it LeBron? Is it Giannis?
I think the best player is Steph Curry.
Yeah?
I think Steph Curry's the best player. I do. I think that what he brings to the table, what he attracts, I just think we in general, we like to I don't say like we honor these, we like to create these myths for these giant guys. And I may sound biased because I'm a little guy, but it's like we like to marvel at 6'9" guys, 6'11" guys, 7-foot guys, and be like, oh, he's the best player. But why is he the best player? How Kawhi's a great player.
Right.
The great player. He's one of my favorite, but I don't think he's the best player in the NBA. I really do think Steph Curry is the best player in the NBA. I think you got Kawhi and LeBron. They're like 1, 2, 3 for me. And then Kevin Durant follows somewhere in there as well. But a lot of people don't want to acknowledge what Curry brings to the table because he looks like us. It's hard to marvel at a person that looks like you.
Could be the best player, especially in a sport, you know, dominated by big guys.
Yeah, and somebody asked me why Steph, because I mean, why not? Like the dude wins all the time. He wins all the time. He's revolutionized the game. He's a 2-time MVP. He has how many championships he has? 3.
3. Mm-hmm.
He has 3 championships. I mean, what else you want from a 6'3" guy? Like his resume rivals anybody you want to put. Who like You want to who resume you want to put with Steph Curry? He rivals. He's a 50, 40, 90 guy. You know, and look, I love LeBron James. I love Kawhi Leonard. I love those guys, but we got to get to the point where we got to get past. We got to get past at marveling at people just because they're tall and they're big. We got to get past that.
Right. That makes sense. How do you see this season playing out? They're in the bubble. It's unlike circumstances that we could have imagined. But who do you think are the teams that you would see as favorites? Not like what the media is saying is favorites, but who do you think comes out west, comes out east, and who do you think ends up winning it all?
Well, I mean, it's weird. The format, the actual format favors for me is the Rockets. But we just seen that Harden and Westbrook has the virus.
Right.
So the virus could really mess up everything, you know.
Right.
But if everyone was healthy, my pick will be the Rockets coming out the West because of the format. Again, this is not the normal typical NBA season, 82 games, and now we're going into the playoffs. It's become more of an AAU tournament.
Right.
With a March Madness with a March Madness field, which favors usually AAU tournaments and March Madness, it favors the team that can get up and down and make shots at a high clip, which is the Houston Rockets. I like Houston and I like the Clippers out the West. And out the East, I really like the Toronto Raptors coming out of the East. But I wouldn't sleep on the Philadelphia 76ers if they can figure out, you know, having Ben Simmons play the power forward and allowing him to play a Draymond Green role and let Shake Milton play the point guard. I believe Philadelphia is a scary team to play if Ben Simmons really finds his groove. It could be Philadelphia and Toronto in the Eastern Conference championship. And that's no disrespect to Milwaukee. But I like Toronto and Houston in the finals.
So with Ben playing power forward now, we talk about this Draymond Green role. Will it not affect him if he is still refusing to shoot the open shot? Does that not still kind of like take away from what the offense could do if he's at least willing to shoot it?
No, because if you put him at the power forward, he's naturally going to be closer to the basket, where he's effective.
Right.
Where he's ineffective where he's ineffective is when he's playing point guard and he's 22 feet away from the basket trying to initiate offense. That's when that's when you shrink the floor and you're easy to guard. The closer you put Ben Simmons towards the basket, the tougher it is for a team to defend the Philadelphia 76ers. That's why I've been preaching for the last 2-3 years to take him off the ball, put him closer to the basket, and still allow his playmaking to dictate pace just closer at the basket, because now he becomes a threat to score more.
That makes sense. Because my concern was thinking about how the Sixers play. They like Embiid down low, right? Even though Embiid likes to kind of like get outside the paint and shoot a little jump shot every now and then, they like him down low. But if Ben's down there and Embiid's down there, it kind of like clogs it up. But now that I think about it, Ben is such a great passer out of the post. He's so much bigger and quicker than natural. Right. So that can work. With that being said, does Giannis repeat as MVP? I asked Perk this yesterday. I'm trying to gauge to see what people think, people who are watching more than what the PERS and the statistics say.
Yeah.
Does he repeat as MVP? Does LeBron have a case? Does Dame, what he's done over the last month before the season went in lockdown, does that jump into the conversation?
No, Giannis is going to win this thing, man.
You think so?
Giannis is in position to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. Like, Giannis has actually had a better year this year than he had last year. When you look at his PER, like he's been top shelf. Like, LeBron James is obviously one of the greatest players ever and had a terrific season. But Giannis has been better on both ends of the court. Like, LeBron James hasn't been good defensively. Like, Giannis has been great defensively and great offensively. LeBron has been great offensively and average defensively. So when you're saying most valuable player, Giannis has been more complete than anybody else. James Harden has been better offensively, but he hasn't been good defensively. So when I look at MVP, I look at the entire landscape of your game. And I believe Giannis has a case to win Defensive Player of the Year as well. So that's why he gets my MVP vote.
Okay. So with me, the reason why I personally think LeBron should win it is I watch every Laker game, and I see what that team is once LeBron gets off the floor. It is not a great team. It is not a contending team when he's off the floor. Right. And I'm looking at that impact versus what Giannis, because I feel like Milwaukee's a deeper team. They don't have like the big names, but they're a deeper team. Right. So they're able to get by more when Giannis, even when he missed games, like Milwaukee was playing well. If LeBron doesn't play a game, I don't think they could be a even contending team for an 8th seed if LeBron was not to be on that team. So that's where my case comes from. But I get what you're
I like that, but let me tell you why LeBron's Lakers fall off as soon as he sits on the bench. It's because the way he assembles his rosters every year. That's why.
I like how you said he assembles his roster. I like how you say that.
Yeah, like the rosters are assembled to fit only his style of play. So when he sits down, they struggle.
Right.
Milwaukee's roster isn't assembled to just play with Giannis. They're assembled to just play basketball. So anywhere you go, anywhere LeBron goes, he's going to create a roster that only fits the way he plays.
Right.
So when he sits out, the rest of the 12 guys are like, what do we do? LeBron's not playing.
But AD's there. AD's a superstar, top 5 player in the game. Why can't
AD's not a – well, we watched AD in New Orleans. Like, just being a top 5 player doesn't bring you wins. It just sells you tickets. So just because he's a top 5 player, that doesn't mean you're going to win. Right. So winning is a compilation of a lot of things: camaraderie, teamwork. You know how guys really gel together. It's not like we can't get caught up in just throwing a bunch of superstar names together and then thinking that they're going to win. Let's think baseball terms. The Yankees have been throwing out superstar teams for ages. How many World Series do they really have?
Yeah, they haven't won since 2009, and they've signed everybody.
They signed everybody, and so it's not about how many stars you put on one team. It's about the guys that you put together. And that's how you win. And that's why the Lakers or LeBron team struggle without him, because he assembles his roster only to fit what he does.
I got a lot of people in here saying preach, because they're just tired of the LeBron doesn't have a great team narrative. He doesn't have help.
He has help. Yes.
With I want to get a couple, before I let you go, a couple of Yoda foresight here. Now this may be exclusive, it may not be. But Giannis, he's got the extension eligibility this summer. He could sign it, or he could opt out next summer and become a free agent and go wherever he pleases. What do you think happens with Giannis? Does he stay in Milwaukee?
Yeah, he's gonna stay. He's gonna stay. He's gonna entertain and make it,
interesting.
Very interesting. But Milwaukee has done a terrific job. They just got a new facility. Like, they're building everything around him. His brother's on the team. Right. I just think he's going to end up staying. It'll be interesting to see what other teams try to bid for him. Obviously, Golden State will. The Atlanta Hawks are a dark horse to land him as well. And I won't even say the Lakers. Like, everybody wants the Lakers. The Lakers every year is like, the Lakers need to get this. The Lakers and the Cowboys are just two organizations for me that it's like, your fan base, man. It's like, you guys want every superstar. You guys want every win. You guys want every excuse. Like, spread it out a little bit, man. Giannis is not going to LA, bro.
You don't think he would entertain it at all? Because he did vouch that when AD was asking for a trade, and apparently the Bucks were one of the teams that were on his dark horse list. There's interest there that they'd like to play together. Do you think LeBron is what kind of like he knows that idea for Giannis, or is it just nah, I'm staying still?
Yeah, Giannis is not going to LA. Like if he goes to California, it will be Golden State.
Mm,
I
wow.
think there's three teams that can land Giannis. The Raptors, the
Mm.
Golden State Warriors, or the Atlanta Hawks. Those are the three teams that I think can land Giannis.
So the Knicks are wasting their time trying to hire
Yeah,
Jason Kidd to
yeah.
to lure him.
Knicks, move on. It ain't gonna happen.
But is LaMelo going there? Because don't you
Yes,
think LaMelo is the best fit, or
yes,
that would be an ideal fit for the Knicks?
yes. I think LaMelo will go to New York, and New York will be the perfect fit for him. He is a sensational talent,
Hmm.
and I'm excited to see. Hopefully, the Knicks get that pick so they can get LaMelo.
Would you
The Knicks
draft him number
deserve
one
him. Yeah,
or Anthony
absolutely.
Edwards? Because I know you
Uh,
like Anthony Edwards.
no, I'm taking LaMelo Ball. I'm not passing on. I'm not passing on 6, 7 point guards. I'm not doing that.
Right. And he's not done growing. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
tough.
I'm not doing that. I'm not overthinking that. Like I get the Knicks get the number one pick. It's going to be a no-brainer that they draft LaMelo Ball. It's not even going to be a waste of time.
Wow. Okay. Interesting to see. Last question I want to ask you. This is the last Yoda thing. I'm asking you this specifically because last summer you said Kawhi is going to go to the Clippers. You called that. You said Kawhi will sign with the Clippers,
Yeah.
and in 2 years Kawhi is going to take his talents elsewhere across the locker room. Is that the Lakers, or is that have you kind of like changed your mind about that
Yeah.
idea?
Yeah, I think Kawhi may just stay. I think he may stay a Clipper. A lot has to do with the success of the team this year
Hmm.
and next year. He's going to leave his options open, but we know Kawhi's not leaving California.
Mm.
He's not going to leave California, so he's going to finish out his career there. So he may move over a locker room, but he's not going to play with LeBron James. I can guarantee you that.
My God, what is it like? So why did he entertain it so strongly up until the last minute? Or was that all just chess play? Just
That was just sometimes you got to play chess, man. There was no way he was going to the Lakers. I was laughing back. I was just laughing like he's either going to the Clippers or he's going to stay in Toronto. That was his only choices the entire time, and I knew
wow,
that.
wow. All right, to wrap it up, with the Isaiah Thomas, I wanted to recircle back on that. Are you doing a documentary about that? Because I think I saw something along the lines of, is that something that's being worked on that people could look forward to?
Yeah, we got some things working in the future. Isaiah is my OG. He's my mentor. So I speak to him. I speak to Zeke a lot, like 3 or 4 times a week.
Mhm.
So look forward to the future. There's definitely some things that will be brewing with that, and Isaiah Thomas will get his due because he deserves it, and he's the greatest pound for pound basketball player that's ever lived.
Much respect to that. I will definitely be tuned in. Rashad, my brother, this was awesome. Thank you so much for giving me your time. You've been nothing but upstanding brother. Every time I've reached out, you've been really receptive. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on your platform, man. Talk soon.
All right, brother. Later.